You're in Braves country.
Good morning, Braves country, as we are coming to you live here on a Friday morning. And Braves are set to take on the Detroit Tigers. And we won't make this one very long. By the way, it's an early start. I know I mentioned it earlier in the week, but it is an early start, 6:40. So we've got weird times for this for the entire weekend. We've got 6:40. We've got a 1:10 first pitch on Saturday. And then Sunday, a little more normal, it's 1:40. So 2-day games and an early evening game on a Friday night. So for those of y'all who are like, man, this season's never going to end, look on the bright side. You get it kind of as your appetizer of your sports day, of your sports weekend. And you get to watch some football. Of course, the Major League Baseball has not figured this thing out. Man, this happened last week. I really can't figure out what the hell is Cam Newton doing with his damn hair coming out of his hat. It looks like a damn rat or something sitting on top of his head. I don't know what the hell that is. All right. Anyways, that guy is just, ugh. I know they pulled Jimmy Kimmel off the air for saying crazy stuff. Can they just pull Cam Newton off the air for looking crazy? The weekend, for whatever reason, Major League Baseball has not figured this out, but you don't put your game starting in the middle of the first window of the NFL on Sundays. They need to move their games to like noon on Sundays in the fall. All the early games need to be noon local time, because if you do that, the typical baseball fan who's also a football fan gets to watch them both. Instead, what happens is nobody tunes into baseball. They go, screw it. I'll catch the game tomorrow. Let me watch my Cowboys play, et cetera, et cetera. All right. But if you look at the pitching matchups for this weekend, the Braves have a decent chance of winning this series at Detroit, a team that is 85-68 on the year. And we're sitting 13 games under 500. They are 17 games over 500. But listen to these pitching matchups. Tonight, now I love this. Charlie Morton is going to be on the bump for the Detroit Tigers. If y'all haven't picked up on this, he moved over from Baltimore at the deadline, and he is going to be on the bump. You don't see this often, but both pitchers have the exact same ERA and are facing against each other at 5.56 ERA. It's Elder versus Morton, and it should be entertaining to us Braves fans. Also, let's be honest, it'll probably be a high-scoring game because it's Elder versus Morton. But I'm interested to see how Charlie's doing. You can look through the numbers and whatnot, but he's had a really bad start to the season and has kind of righted the ship. But it'll be interesting to see what he has left in the tank as they head to October. Now, the Tigers themselves, they are not playing great baseball. The Detroit Tigers are coming in losing 3 in a row, and they've lost 7 of their last 10. Good to see everybody in the chat, Raymond and Nathaniel and Justin and John and Iron Lung. But looking at this Detroit Tiger team, they've got the division somewhat sewed up, but they've been playing with their food, and they are now just 3.5 games in front of the Cleveland Guardians, who have won 7 in a row. So we're going to be monitoring for the Detroit Tiger fans that may be in the chat tonight We're also going to be monitoring the Cleveland game. Cleveland is in Minnesota for a 3-game series. And they've got Messick. If you haven't watched that kid play, the rookie out of Florida State, he's going up against Lopez. That should be a really good pitching matchup. So that starts about – that game will probably get going, we'll say, around the 5th or 6th inning of ours, and we'll continue to monitor it. Is Hightower in here? Oh, yeah. But old Bubba's in here. So that's the big broad strokes on what's going on in this series. Now, if you look at the actual series itself and you look at the pitching matchups that we have Elder versus Morton tonight, Wentz versus Montero tomorrow, and then Strider's going up against Casey Mize. I'm telling you, all 3 of these games are very winnable. Montero is not exactly outstanding, and that may be more of a bullpen game for Detroit. If you get the good Elder and you get the good Wentz and Strider continues to pitch well, they've got a chance to win this series. And that would be a feather in the cap going into the final week of the season. Other things going on with the Braves. So, Atlanta, there was an interesting clip that I ran into, and normally these guys talk about nothing, but there was an interesting clip where they were talking about if you could sign Marcell Ozuna really cheap, not at what he's getting paid, which is what I believe 16 for this year. If you could get Marcell Ozuna. Now, I still think the number is way too low. I think he's going to ask for more. But I don't know if he has much of a leg to stand on this year because you can't put him in the field. He's a terrible base runner. All he can do is hit, and his home run numbers have come down quite a bit. But what they were saying was if you could sign Marcell Ozuna for $6 million and then lock up Raisel Iglesias for a 2-year deal at a fairly decent price because he has been really good. We know he struggled beginning of this year, but all in all, Iglesias has been phenomenal for us. And essentially what you would be doing is running it back. Would you be okay with that? And a lot of fans seem like that they were okay with that, including the guys that were bringing that up. I don't know if I love it. I love the idea of bringing back Iglesias. But the problem with Marcell Ozuna, and he's only going to get older, you can't use him in the field. So that is all he is a DH. And then not only can you not use him in the field, he runs so poorly that you always have to pinch run for him at the end of the game. What is John talking about? Where is everybody in the chat? John, everybody sees you. I don't know what you're doing. I can't tell which chat they're in, John. So that has something to do. You may be in Armchair, and they may be in Braves Country Radio. So I don't know which one you're in. The members are most likely in Braves Country Radio. The non-members are probably in the other. So back to what I was talking about, though. Do you or do you not bring back Ozuna, even if it's as low as $6 million? I still don't love it. I don't hate it if he is known that he is going to platoon as the designated hitter, and we're still going to go out and try to improve there. And maybe there's an argument to be said that the platoon will be Drake Baldwin. Drake Baldwin getting the majority of the at-bats, but Ozuna comes in on a cheap deal, and Ozuna is going to start against lefties, and Ozuna can come in and pinch hit for the designated hitter role. That part I could live with. But I guess because I have my unrealistic sights set on the Braves going out and getting like a Kyle Schwarber as a DH and really resetting that and making that a feared spot. If it's not a Kyle Schwarber, then what you're really doing is you're saying that your DH is going to be a guy that total hits around 30 to 35 home runs, which isn't terrible. And you would hope between Ozuna and Baldwin, because let's be honest, Baldwin just is bad behind the plate. And it's not as easy as people think it is to go teach him another position. So he's going to convert into the designated hitter who will catch from time to time, assuming Sean Murphy is back and healthy. But are you going to be able to energize this fan base if you run it back with the same parts? I just don't know if you're going to be able to do it. I think your ticket sales are going to go to hell, especially if you bring back the same manager. Because Snicker keeps acting like it's up to him whether he comes back or not as a manager. I'm not saying that it's not up to him if he wants to stay with the organization. I believe he's earned that right to have some role in the Braves organization in 2026 if he wants it. But he has not earned the right to be the manager. And if you bring back the manager and you bring back Ozuna and you bring back all these other parts, what you're trying to say is we really are good enough to win. We're just not winning right now. That's not going to fly for the fans. You've got the part of free agency that a lot of people don't pick up on, that the most important part of the free agency, and the reason why MLB starts it as early as they do, because ownership wants to be able to put a new face out there on the marquee and say, come watch us. This is the 2026 version. And if you don't have someone for them to get excited about, and I don't see them making a big move in the starting pitching. They'll probably go get a veteran, but they're going to assume that Sale's going to be healthy, Schwellenbach will be back, Ronaldo Lopez will be back, Spencer Strider will be a better version of himself. The only thing they could really add is like a number 5 pitcher. Now, they would probably be looking for most people's number 3, but put him in the 5 spot and have a really good rotation. But that's it. Because obviously Acuna's going nowhere. Harris is going nowhere, and he's going nowhere fast. Jurickson Profar is going to be your left fielder. The infield is still going to be the same, assuming Kim picks up the shortstop or picks up the player option. And I hope John found his way into that's what happened. Okay. It was kind of funny. John was talking to himself in the other chat. He was over in the free chat. And he was like, you were making me think I was going crazy, John. He's like, where is everybody? I'm like, I see them. I see them chatting along. What are you talking about? But yeah, so it's an interesting dynamic that I hadn't really thought about. But I don't know if Marcell Ozuna is going to sign that cheap. That's the bottom line. And if he does, it's going to be some version. So the other option you would have if you don't bring Ozuna back, and you're going to put Drake Baldwin in the role of your starting DH and Murphy as your backup catcher, then you have to go get. It'll probably be a very low minimum grade guy like a Sandy Leone, right? To play every day. So you carry 3 catchers. Not to play every day, but to be the everyday backup. And then but when you look at your roster management, that means that you would have 3 catchers. And that leaves you room for what? 2 more guys on the lineup? I mean, excuse me, on the bench. You would hope they could bring back Nick Allen, which would give them depth across the board in the infield, and then Eli White for depth across the board in the outfield. I just don't like it. Give me someone else other than Marcell Ozuna. I want the ability. I want a right-handed bat. Don't get me wrong, because I like the idea of Drake Baldwin getting a lot of starts against right-handed pitching. But he can also catch from time to time. He's not so disastrous you can't start him. He's just not a guy you can start in the playoffs. He's not. You can't start him behind the plate in the playoffs. If you've been watching them the last few weeks since Murphy went down, it's really come out full front and center that they are running on him left and right in the entire league. So that's a huge problem. That's a huge problem. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on that. I would prefer that the Braves end up going with someone whoever you sign as your other DH. If it's not a superstar like Kyle Schwarber, then give me a guy that you can play in the field as well. Because that's the biggest drawback about Schwarber. You can't put him in the field either. He was bad at first base. I guess you could from time to time start him in left field, but he's almost as bad as Ozuna out there nowadays. So you get yourself a starting probably outfielder to give days off and rotate the DH position like a lot of teams do. And a guy that can play in the outfield, because you don't want to use the infield realistically, because Riley will be back to play third. Olsen never takes a day off. Maybe the smartest thing they could do is go out and get a guy that can play third and outfield. Because let's be honest, Austin Riley has been very, very brittle the last few years. So if you can find a guy that can play a little third base for when he's down, now I don't think it's necessarily a big need, because you can always have a Nick Allen play third base. But it is something to think about that when they go into the free agent market, are they looking at, man, we can't rely on Austin Riley to be healthy for an entire season. He's falling apart and it doesn't make sense because he keeps himself in shape. I like Austin Riley. He's one of my favorite players to watch. But facts are facts, and he's not getting to the finish line at the end of each year. Schwarber platooning at catcher. Can you imagine? They might as well not even have a catcher back there. Just have the pitcher throw to the backstop and have an extra infielder go retrieve it every time, because you know they're going to steal second and third on you every single at bat. So yeah, that we are hitting that we're hitting that part where it really seems like that the Braves are in that final part of the season, and you're starting to see the team. By the way, Matt Olson flirting with 30 and 30 home runs. What is he at, 28 now? And we were just talking about him trying to hit the milestone of 29 every year. Really quick, there was a minor move made yesterday before I forget to. This really isn't worth mentioning, but I'm going to mention it anyways. Infielder Brett Wisely was claimed off of waivers from the Giants and optioned to AAA to make room for the 40-man roster. They put Bummer on the 60-day IL. We knew that from about a week or so ago that it didn't look like he was coming back, so that becomes official. But the Braves are going to have some money to spend in the offseason. I do think they're probably going to try to get a pitcher, and I think they're going to try to do some kind of an upgrade. So when they bring this kind of stuff up, I'm like, man, I don't think that they're thinking about the big picture when they bring this kind of stuff up, because you've got to sell tickets this year. And the fans are already teetering. We're getting some really bad crowds in Atlanta. They're already teetering. If you run it back, the entire thing just gets run back. How the hell are you going to sell any tickets? How are you getting anybody excited You're going to have nobody show up at FanFest. Oh, great. We locked everybody up. Great. When you say let's run it back, it's usually because you just did very well. It usually just won a championship. Usually means, hell, you made the playoffs. You don't go, let's run it back when you're going to finish 15 games under 500. What? Make that make sense. Nothing else really else to report here. I think the Braves are going to find a way to win this series, though. I really do. You look at the pitching matchups. You look at the fact that they're hitting the ball a little better. And we're not even going to face their best pitchers. We're essentially facing, I was going to say 3, 4, 5 guys in the rotation. We're really facing the 4, 5, 6 guys in the rotation. And realize they're trying to reset because they're still assuming that they're going to win the division. Now, Cleveland's got something to say about that. They're only 3 games back in the loss column, 3.5 out. Detroit, at one point, looked like they were easily going to get the bye week. I don't know if that's going to be true. The Mariners, they've won 9 of their last 10. The Mariners are now sitting at 84 wins, as are the Astros. They're at a flat-footed tie with the Astros and Mariners are flat-footed tie. The Rangers are cooked. The Rangers are 5 out. It's over. Rangers had to go in and show up in Houston, and they did not this week. But yeah, so the Tigers we're going to get a big fight out of the Tigers this weekend, and I hope the Braves are up for the challenge. And as John tries to reconstruct our lineup, he's going to have Schwarber and Ozuna as our pinch runners. I know Peta's not in the chat because she would have already been saying, "Bring back Travis d'Arnaud," even though he's on a deal that keeps him through over to Los Angeles for another year. I think the Braves will play well this last part of the season. And before you start hearing fans freak out about this, the overall wins for the best record in baseball, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It is going to be, or the worst record in baseball. The Rockies have 41 wins. They're not catching them, obviously. The White Sox have 57 wins. They're not catching them. The Nationals, 8 games in front with 9 to play. They're not catching them. They're probably not going to catch the Pirates. They're 5 games behind the Braves. The Twins, 4 games behind the Braves. Angels are sitting there a game in front. So, yeah, we are pulling for the Angels to win some games. But it doesn't matter because it's all going to end up as a draft lottery. And if you don't have one of the top 2 or 3 worst picks or worst records in all of baseball, it's not going to matter because it's going to be blind luck. It's going to be a random ping pong ball coming in, and you hope for the best, but you won't be shocked if you – regardless, we're going to draft in the top 10, and regardless, I've said this before, whoever we draft, we probably won't see till 2028. So why do I give a crap about that? Tomorrow's not promised to any of us. Why do I care about 2028 guy going to go out there and maybe be a piece of your bullpen? People worry about that stuff too much, man. It's like, dude, this is not football. This is not basketball. This is baseball. It is incredibly hard to get to the major leagues. So when you draft a guy, it doesn't matter if you draft a guy that everybody thinks is ready to roll, can come play right out of college. They're wrong about it all the time. Look at some of the guys that have been drafted the last few years very high. Really, Paul Skeens is the only one that has really jumped out and made a huge difference. We'll see you tonight, 6:40 first pitch. Braves, Tigers, Elder versus Morton. A good old-fashioned slop fest. I think it'll be entertaining. It'll be fun. It'd be really fun to see the two guys duel to like a 1-0 game. Y'all have a good one, and we will see you tonight. And I'm about to throw that phone out the damn window. Y'all have a good one.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
It's closing time, y'all. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Have a great one. On your way out, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to tip your favorite bartender. We'll see you. I'm Mac McGee, signing off for Braves Country Radio.